Tim, this is a video made to help you with your L4 continuation. I'm gonna watch a bunch of different clips. This might be a little bit of a epic video. First, the Yellow Falls move, which after reviewing this went quite well for you. I think you're using water really, really well. Let's take a quick look at that. We'll watch it slow down a little bit, mostly to give me time to spit some words at you. Really nice use of that hydraulic to deflect your bow towards the eddy. Means you need minimal stroke work here to get back out of the eddy. Using a wave trough, really great leading that move with your head. You look before you go. And really nice job catching that wave trough to help drive you across the eddy line. Really solid. Going to show some video of Matthew making the same move now. Here he is on the left. Slightly different use of that wave. Does much more of a pivot turn there, by which I mean like swinging around that bow draw. Similar stroke count, getting out of that eddy, maybe a slightly lower exit. Takes many fewer strokes for him to get across to that wave trough that you used, driving him cross current into the eddy. Now we're just going to do some frame by frame comparison. Looks like Matthew has a slightly further river right position. That's, I don't think, necessarily better. I think actually I almost prefer yours because you get this deflection off your bow driving you left, and so you're actually working a little less hard to swing your boat into the eddy. Your entry angle into the true eddy across the slack water is pretty great. So like I really like that angle to the direction of flow versus that angle to the direction of flow. Something I do want to highlight here in the difference in your paddle stroke work. I'm not saying that to make the move effectively you needed this paddle angle, but when we're demonstrating the bow draw, ideally we're getting both hands over the water on the side of the stroke. So your stroke does what it needs here, but if you remember, demonstration quality is kind of over enunciating a little bit so that people learning the technique can really see it in its ideal form. Second thing to pay attention to here is just upper body articulation. Same as I just said with the bow draw, we're looking for some over enunciation of visible torso rotation. I've slowed this down quite a bit so you can kind of look back and forth between yours and Matthew's upper body articulation. It's my hope that it's evident to you that we can see more of Matthew's shoulders moving back and forth, especially if you're looking at Matthew's video there to there, there to there. And your stroke work is solid. It's propelling your boat. Would just like to see a little bit more movement of this shoulder forward, that shoulder back than we do. Really love the timing of your change in vision here, like right after your bow engages. That mimics what Matthew's done over there. Also really great job here shooting your belly button off to the side. That is also visible torso engagement, meaning that as you're preparing to put pressure on the back blade there, because that blade is behind your hip, you're swinging your upper body around to protect those shoulders in a position of strength by separating the upper body from the lower body. Watch here, I'd mentioned this in the one at a time commentary. Just going to play this nice and slow. Matthew has a lot more cross current angle, and that ends up meaning that he needs many fewer strokes to get across. You end up with some slightly rushed strokes here, more of them, none of them quite torso engaged. So the last batch of videos looked all at torso engagement and paddle stroke work while linking maneuvers. This is really simplifying a maneuver, looking just at the back ferry. This would also be an area for growth for you working on that continuation. Let's just see how this plays linking the two videos. I may pause and separate them. So this back ferry is just a drill. We're not trying to dodge anything. One of the things that I'm hoping your back ferry drills can show in water about this heavy is the development of cross-current momentum, the same as we would want or need on a front ferry. Obviously, there's a trick to this, which is that as I'm leaving the eddy, I do a nearly flat spin. My boat is tilted here, but as I put in this reverse sweep, my boat flattens out. And that's partly so that the stern can swing freely, but it also is like anticipating the switch and tilt there to get me into the back ferry tilt without catching my stern. What that does is it translates some of my spin momentum from here into directional cross-current momentum. So I'm starting to move laterally before this first wave here. As we watch your similar maneuver, you're doing a much wider peel out, including a little bit of a hanging stern draw, or maybe a bow draw. Either way, a more downriver oriented spin. So much so that by the time you turn for the first time, like here's that same wave that I'm spinning above, and that means that your momentum is very downriver rather than cross by the time you start the back ferry. And as we watch this play out, that's meaning that you need to take a lot more strokes. Really nice adjustment of your tilt there, by the way. Nice look over that left shoulder consistently. And you're just on that little bit of that river treadmill. My more aggressive angle and combined with cross-current momentum established early lets me do fewer strokes, kind of timed to some wave troughs. Now, back jet ferrying is not part of what we're working on here. I got lucky on that one. But also because my momentum is cross-current, it's much easier for me to open my angle to bust across the eddy line right at the end of the move there. Lastly, for good measure, let's just look at the good old-fashioned front ferry using a wave. Some things to highlight. We have a really similar departure position, really similar stroke work. We're both targeting where we're going with our vision and pointing our belly button off the long axis of our boat. So no complaints there whatsoever. As we progress, something I do want to highlight, similar to on the Yellow Falls video, this is a really good stroke for what you're doing, and it is very shoulder safe with your elbow nice and tight to your rib cage, top hand, I expect that that's nose level. As long as we keep our elbows in tight, it is acceptable to bring our wrist or even our forearm to our forehead. That's going to drive our active blade much deeper and allow us to swing it around behind as well. Something else just to look at here. Try and zoom in as much as possible. We have almost the same jacket. We're looking for some waggle back and forth on the astral dot there. And I'm seeing some movement, but also some like slightly tentative or arm-based strokes there. They are driving you across the eddy line in the way that you need. For an L4 instructor, I would really want to see, like articulated body language there. So especially as I'm coming across the eddy line here, like that wind up of my torso and unwinding of my torso would be something to work towards. We spoke about, I think, about like exploring what the range of motion is for a paddler in order to give feedback on torso rotation. I can't recall if you were there at the time. It might have been during a shuttle. So what I'd like to do is see video of you showing, just sitting in your kayak, like here is what my torso can do, within a comfortable range of motion. Here's what it is if I stretch, and then trying to find that same unstressed range of motion in your paddle stroke work that you're able to do just sitting still. Awesome. Hey, Tim, such a good time working with you this past week. So stoked for your certification and your program at Yellow Breeches. Please be in touch as you develop these L4 criteria.